So last week on the Dragon Ball Super official news website, there was an interview with the computer graphics crew that was in charge of the Dragon Ball Super movie. This week they continue it with some actual interesting behind the scenes, I guess you could say like previews slash images of the process behind animating a Goku versus Broly fight, specifically one that will be in the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie. And the other thing that happened last Saturday is Triple G got robbed, but that's another story. Still, it was a great fight. Anyways, let's get to this interview here on the Dragon Ball Super official website. Now, first of all, the first thing I want to talk about is this image you see right here in front of you. If you remember, some of you guys who are new subscribers may not have seen it. If you've been around all summer, you saw that video I did where I broke down that really short 8-second like TV spot that aired during One Piece, and during that we saw Goku and Broly fighting. Basically, what happened was when we first saw that little clip, it was a very short clip, it was a clip from the movie, the background looked like the mountains from Resurrection F where Goku and Frieza were fighting. And the reality is they were. In fact, this right here confirms it. This interview, as you can see from this image right here, this is Goku fighting Broly, presumably earlier in the film. And we have now an actual, like the Isaac Arctic mountain range. So they used the Resurrection F background as a placeholder for them to animate the fight to see how it would look with a background. Obviously, the background stuff was produced by a completely different team. And if you look at the interview here, I mean, it's in Japanese, so there's not really, I can't really, most of you guys probably can't read it, but, and I'm just going to give you the highlights of the interview. They interview the crew behind it, and it's interesting because they have a good, like for example, this right here is Makino Araki, who worked on, if I messed up that name, I apologize, he worked on Resurrection F, and let me go down here, give me one moment, I'll show you who I'm talking about here. And Takuya Fukuwa, my bad, I said the name wrong for a second there. This guy also worked on the One Piece film Gold, and that was a very good looking movie. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen clips from it, and it is very good looking. Essentially, what they're talking about here in the interview, just to kind of give you a quick summary, is they're talking about how, with CG, with computer graphics, it allows them to create backgrounds, because some of the backgrounds are going to be CG in this movie. And they even talk about how if you're a good animator, in fact, it's right here, if you're a good animator, if you are a talented animator, you can get this done, and it'll look great, but with the CG and the fact that they have these computers, they can do it a lot faster and more efficiently, and they can create backgrounds that don't exist. One of the positives they have, one of the, I guess you can say, one of the benefits that they have is that with CG, when you shoot CG, like for a live action movie, you have to make every frame look a certain way so that way they can take it to the computer and kind of mess with it. With digital tech nowadays, it's a lot easier. But here with Dragon Ball, with Super, the Broly movie, they can create the entire thing from nothing because it's animated, and it's easier because they don't have to worry about those things. They can move stuff around, they can change it. So in a sense, it's a lot easier when it comes to camera work to do an animated film than it is to do a live action film. And the majority of the stuff they talk about here is essentially stuff like that. Now here we have a CG model of Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and it will be in the movie, and of course these things are never final. None of this stuff I'm showing you guys is close to being, not close, but these images are not how it's going to look in the film, obviously. Here's a better look right here. And really what they're probably going to do with this is use it for only specific shots, while the rest of it will be done by hand animations, if that makes sense. And I'm not going to go into the entire technical aspect of everything, because that's more Anime AJ's kind of forte. I'm not going to step on his shoes. Plus, he does a lot more research than I do as far as the animation side of things go. But it's interesting because you're gonna have a mix of CG and live action. It's just going to happen, but Broly will look better. Here's another shot here of what appears to be the mountains, and it says here that it actually translates right here that the mountains are made of CG, and this is going to be a major action scene in the film, presumably early. Like we talked about before, Goku and Broly are probably going to fight a few times in this movie. The first fight I'm assuming is going to be in the Arctic, and then they're going to go elsewhere. I don't think the Arctic, where they meet Broly in the trailer and everything, I don't think that's going to be the final fight of the film at all. In fact, here you see them fighting and then having the Arctic sort of background there, and like I said, the original trailer had the Resurrection F one because it wasn't finished yet. You know, people were saying, "Oh, it doesn't look that good." You know, they're calling it here, actually, right here. They're calling it the Ice Continent. That could be a weird translation, but it's basically mountains. But it says Ice Continent, so that's interesting. Moving down here, here's another shot. You know, you see here Goku kind of going back. And none of this is finished yet, but it's interesting because it just shows that, you know, it's still being worked on, and it does show that essentially, you know, they talked about in the previous interview, like, oh, how are we going to be able to put this together? And they essentially is like, let's do it with CGI. And Nagamine said, go for it. So there will be CGI in the movie. You can't not make a movie. Well, you can, but it's probably going to be more expensive and probably take longer to produce without using CGI. And I do trust them. I think it will look better. I think the film will look a lot cleaner than Resurrection F will, and the best part is that with Resurrection F there was a lot of micromanagement, whereas with this movie it certainly feels a lot more like a lot of fans coming together to make it versus it being like, you know, just Yamamuro being, I guess, the overseer, for lack of a better term. Anyways, that's it. That's all I have for you. We'll get more, I'm sure, soon. Don't forget Dragon Ball Heroes Episode 4 coming this week. Thank y'all for watching this video. Quick little update, not much to talk about here, but just interesting to see a little preview of the fight in the movie. And I hope we see more very soon. I'll talk to you later on.